Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I want to squeeze in one more Great League video before we get into Ultra League because I have so much Ultra League content planned for this channel. There are so many Pokemon that I want to try, but these battles were sent to me a few days ago and I never got around to reviewing them. I finally have time now, and I really wanted to take a look at some Dragapult battles. I did try Dragapult myself. I will say I didn't get very lucky with it. I got destroyed, it's very squishy. But I felt like these battles were worth reviewing. So really quickly, before we get into the matches, huge shout out to Moustachedgolem for sending me these battles. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Anyways, let's get into it, and I can tell you already that I'm going to get a lot of comments on how inaccessible this team is because you're running that Giratina Origin, which I can guess probably 90% of the player base doesn't have. But I do really like this team composition. It is going to be Azu on the lead with Dragapult and Giratina Origin in the back. I like the pairing of Azu with two Dragon and Ghost types because the Dragon and Ghost types are going to be able to take care of Grass types and Poison types, and then Azu should be able to take care of the Dark types. Now I can see this team struggling against Jumpluff, which you are going to be up against in this match. And that's why I would just recommend change the Hydro Pump on Azu to Ice Beam. I would assume you're running Hydro Pump for Clodsire because there's a lot of Clodsire in the meta. However, Azu can still take care of Clodsire with Ice Beam. Now let's take a look at the battles. We were up against that Jumpluff on the lead. He swapped immediately into Giratina Origin, and the opponent did something smart. They chipped the Giratina Origin with an Aerial Ace before swapping into Clodsire. That way Clodsire only needed to land one Earthquake to take the Giratina out. Now it is going to be Azu up against the Jumpluff. Really wish we had that Ice Beam. Definitely TM it in place of Hydro Pump. You are going to need it. And the opponent by now knows that we're not running Ice Beam, so they let the Play Rough go. And now let's see if Dragapult will be any good against this Jumpluff. But it looks like our opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a Shadow Feraligatr. The Shadow Claws are absolutely going to destroy Dragapult, and this Breaking Swipe is unfortunately not enough to take it out. Now he's going to have to let Dragapult go, and I don't think we can win this because the Feraligatr is going to be able to reach a Hydro Cannon, and it will be enough to take the Azu out, but the Jumpluff also has energy. They're going to be able to make it to an Energy Ball, take Azu out, and the opponent is going to take the win here. Moving on to the next battle, it is going to be Azu up against a Bronzong. I haven't seen this thing in a while. He swaps immediately into Giratina, and the opponent has a Sylveon. At least we're going to be able to go for a move against the Sylveon and take a shield from them. It's good that we get a shield out of the way, but now Azu can be aligned to this Fairy type, and hopefully the opponent does not have another Charm user on the team. They go for a Psyshock. We let that go. Saving two shields for Dragapult is probably the good call here because that thing is really squishy. And the opponent goes ahead and uses their second shield on the Play Rough from Azu, which is going to be really good for Dragapult, assuming the opponent has a Pokemon in the back that will take at least neutral damage from Dragapult, because now Dragapult is going to be able to land the harder hitting moves. It looks like our opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a Vaporeon. Again, keep in mind, these are early battles, so the team composition for the opponent is probably not one that I would recommend using. But Moustachedgolem is going to be able to land a Breaking Swipe on the Vaporeon, take it out, and then take the Bronzong out with a Shadow Ball and take that win. Moving on to the next battle, we are going to see a Clodsire on the lead, and I guess this is where the surprise Hydro Pump comes in useful. The opponent is going to go for either a Stone Edge or an Earthquake here. It's going to be the Earthquake, and let's see if our opponent calls that we have a Hydro Pump. The Hydro Pump lands, but they survive with 1 HP and they're able to get to a Stone Edge on Giratina, and he probably swapped into Giratina to attempt to Shadow Claw the Clodsire down and also to save Azu in case we needed it for something in the back like this Feraligatr, but unfortunately Azu doesn't have enough health now to deal with this Feraligatr. At least we're going to be able to take a shield from the opponent with this Play Rough. And now we just have to hope that this Dragapult can astonish this Feraligatr down, but the Shadow Claws are really hurting this Dragapult. It is now in the yellow, and the opponent's final Pokemon, we got super lucky, is a Shadow Machamp. The one thing that Dragapult is going to be able to resist, the opponent had it in the back, and we're able to build up to a Breaking Swipe and a Shadow Ball, take the shield with the Breaking Swipe, and then land the Shadow Ball to take that Machamp out and take that win, and that is going to be a 4-1 in that set. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to see another Clodsire on the lead, and hopefully they don't call that we have that Hydro Pump. Hopefully they're also not running Sludge Bomb, but I haven't seen a Clodsire running Sludge Bomb in this season yet. He's going to go for the Hydro Pump here. Does it land? It doesn't. The Clodsire actually shields it, and then he brings in Giratina and lets whatever this is go. They go for a Stone Edge, and then they bring in a Shadow Feraligatr. So a similar team composition to the one we saw before. The opponent ends up using their final shield on their Feraligatr, and at least we're going to be able to land an Ominous Wind. We're not going to be able to get to a Shadow Ball, but this Feraligatr now has so much energy, so we have to bring in Azu, and then he decides to swap into Dragapult to astonish this Feraligatr down. They go for an Ice Beam, but we are going to be able to reach a Shadow Ball against the Clodsire. It is enough to KO, and then they top left. I really wonder what they had in the back. GG's to the opponent. Moving on to the next battle, we're going to see a Dunsparce on the lead. Okay, really bad for our backline because it is going to resist all the Ghost type moves from Giratina and Dragapult. But the opponent doesn't stay in that matchup against Azu. They swap into a Cresselia, and we bring in Giratina, but now we absolutely have to win this switch because we do not want Dunsparce aligned to Dragapult. So now we're going to have to start using shields. Nope, he lets the Grass Knot go. Okay, I want to see how this plays out. He brings in Dragapult and goes for a farm down on the Cresselia. At least he has energy on this thing, but they are of course going to bring in that Dunsparce, and he goes for a Breaking Swipe. He gets the attack drop, but then he manages to catch a move on Azu. Now let's see what our opponent's final Pokemon is. It's gonna be a Lantern, and this is why we needed to win switch, because Dragapult would have absolutely walled Lantern. Of course, it would still take a lot of damage from the charge moves because it's Dragapult and Dragapult is squishy, but we might still have a chance here. We're able to go for a Play Rough against Lantern, and then he brings in Dragapult, tries to farm the Lantern down, but they're still able to make it to a Thunderbolt, so we have to use a shield. I think there's still a chance we could win this if we get maybe attack drops. We get an attack drop from the Breaking Swipe. Now we're going to go ahead and use our final shield, and it looks like we should be able to reach 2 Breaking Swipes up against this Dunsparce, but we go for an unnecessary catch on the Azu. We definitely could have tapped the Breaking Swipe instead of going for a catch there, but you know, a catch is always nice to see, and he is going to take the win there. Moving on to the next battle, we are going to see on the lead the recently nerfed Jellicent. Now they are running Bubble on this Jellicent, so if he wants to swap into one of his Dragon and Ghost types, he could, because he is going to be resisting that fast move. We take a Shadow Ball from it, and then the opponent brings in a Licky Licky. Oh no, this thing absolutely walls our backline. This is not good. We have to try to damage this thing. I guess we have to give up a shield here because we need to get this damage off, and hopefully this Hydro Pump lands. It does. It's enough to take the Licky Licky out. Now that that's out of the way, hopefully they don't have another normal type. We bring in Giratina and go for an Ominous Wind, take a shield from them, and we let the Shadow Ball go. Okay, we have to save a shield for Dragapult. Good call. And Dragapult is able to astonish the Jellicent down, and their final Pokemon is going to be an Alolan Marowak, but the opponent goes ahead and top left. GG's to the opponent. Moving on to the next battle, on the lead we're going to see another recently nerfed Pokemon. It is going to be an Altaria, which is also an amazing lead for our Azu. Now the opponent save swaps into their own Azu, and we bring Giratina in against this. Giratina does win against Azu. I'm going to go for a Shadow Ball, and the opponent goes ahead and shields. We're able to reach another Shadow Ball, and thank goodness the opponent lets it go, because now we will be able to farm this Azu down if we shield. We absolutely have to shield so that we can maintain alignment. We need our Azu aligned. Why did you give up switch? We shouldn't have given up switch there. We should have stayed in. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna bring out Coach Chaffee for a second. I know that when you sent me your battles, you told me that you wanted me to coach you if I saw anything in your gameplay, and I'm seeing a lot of giving up Switch. We do not want to do that. Anywhere we can take Switch, it is going to be very beneficial for us. And that Altaria is not going to get a lot of energy from farming down our Giratina. We would have had Azu aligned to it, and the Sky attacks would not have hurt. In fact, there is nothing that Altaria can throw against Azu that is going to hurt it a lot, because Azu is very bulky. It would have been able to take anything from Altaria, and then you would have had this Dragapult aligned to their Charge Bug. However, it looks like it works out for you in the end, but try to do less of that. Anyways, moving on to the next battle, we are going to see a Scrafty on the lead, and this is a very good lead for us. We don't want this to see our backline. Our opponent is going to go for a Power Punch here. I thought they might go for a Thunder Punch because this thing has access to it. It's interesting to me that they're staying in and just shielding their Scrafty. I guess they're going to go for the Thunder Punch now. Nope. They're running Foul Play on Scrafty and they're choosing to stay in an Azu. Okay, what's your strategy here, opponents? They use both shields. At least Dragapult is going to go on a field day in the back. And it looks like our opponent finally decided to swap into a Slowking. Giratina is going to be able to destroy this thing with a Shadow Ball. And our opponent's final Pokemon is going to be a Charizard running Fire Spin. They go ahead and they top left. And that is going to be another win, giving him a 5-0 in that set. So really nice battles. Just one thing. Wherever you don't need to give up Switch, try not to give it up because there are a lot of situations where you could win a game easily if you just stay in. I think you were worried about the Altaria farming you down, but in reality, it was not going to get a lot of energy from your Giratina. You were literally 1 HP. You had no reason to swap out into your Azu and switch lock it into the other counter that your opponent had for Azu. But thank you again so much for the battle submissions. I really enjoyed them. And guys, if you like my content, please consider subscribing. Maybe leave a like. It helps me out so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.